What's good, everybody? It's your boy TJ, and today we're going to be reacting to a breakdown video filled with Easter eggs and theories that revolves around the Batman trailer from DC Fandome. The video that we're going to be reacting to is courtesy of Heavy Spoilers, and instead of making my own video and copying other people's theories, I might as well just react to it and hear it for the first time with you. So fasten your seatbelts, everybody, because we are going on a ride and we are going to find out a bunch of new things and maybe some things we already knew. But before we get started, as always, don't forget, subscribe to the channel. Help your boy out. You know what I'm saying? We got a giveaway going on next week. You got to be subbed. Look out for the video with the contest details. So when you subscribe, make sure that you have your notifications on. That way you get notified. The dudes at Heavy Spoilers always, create great videos on YouTube when it comes to trailer breakdowns or Easter eggs. So let's see what they have to say about the Batman.
Okay, so the last time we had a proper look at the film was during the first DC Fandome over a year ago. It's been a long Halloween waiting until this October.
Let's pause that. The Long Halloween, my favorite Batman storyline. It takes place very early in Batman's career. And also, a lot of the villains are just starting out too. And from what I've heard about the movie coming out next year, it does take inspiration from The Long Halloween. So I guess we're just going to have to wait and see.
But we now have one of the most conclusive looks at the film that we'll get before it releases in March. When the initial panel dropped, Matt Reeves confirmed that he'd only filmed 25% of the movie at the time, but it's now fully wrapped and we know a lot of things about the film.
There we go.
According to leaks from the screening, this will be an almost 3-hour epic that is somewhat of a detective noir film. Batman will narrate major parts of the movie, and this is of course a nod to not only the genre, but also how the characters' comics are in general.
3 hours.
Dark Knight Returns especially is filled with inner monologues, and it's nice that they've managed to bring these two things together.
I swear that's
Batman
the Riddler. It has to be.
Killing, and according to leaks on the movie, he will come close to it, but not actually do it.
No Batman killing? Okay. I know a lot of people complain about Ben Affleck killing people in Batman vs. Superman, but I thought those scenes were pretty badass, so that's just me.
What we know for definite, though, is that this is a very brutal Batman who will use pipes and any weapons he can find to kick the crap out of criminals. Hopefully, he pays for their hospital bills too, as yes, some of this combat, it is pretty bad. Now, one of the big things to take from the trailer is that we hear his voice, and it sounds slightly modulated, but not to the point that it's completely distorted. I really like this rendition, and for me it's up there with what I imagine Batman to sound like when I read Batman Year One. Now the trailer itself was worth sitting through 3 hours of Fleur Borg stand-up for. We open in a diner, and this seems like it was pulled from the beginning of Arkham Knight. What we catch is the police arresting Edward Nashton, who leaves behind his signature riddle mark in a cappuccino. Later on, we see Batman questioning him as he's imprisoned, and there's a lot of Silence of the Lambs vibes from this. On his shirt, you might also notice that it says hospital, so it's possible that he was taken to Arkham, which in this universe is a psychiatric institute.
He has to be in Arkham.
Clearly, Riddler has set things up around the city and is very much terrorizing it with his insignia. I actually think this coffee might be somewhat of a clue, and that it could hold reference in a future riddle with either the location or something dropped here being of some importance.
Interesting.
He's taken in by Gordon and his men, which is when we cut to the Warner Brothers logo and also watch the bat signal being lit up. These moments are all very important as they show that Batman is actually working with the police. I believe that there will be a strained relationship with them because we know from the first trailer that Bruce has to escape somewhere as the police fire upon him, and it could be that the Riddler...
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
It also looks like they chase him off Gotham Tower whilst he wears a wingsuit. This is such an amazing scene, and it showcases how Gotham is really Batman's playground. Now, according to other leaks from the screening that were dropped on Twitter, the Riddler will be very much a jigsaw-type figure that puts people in impossible traps that ultimately lead to their deaths. This was seen in the first trailer with the explosive collar on the DA, and this was actually based on the real-life one that was used in a robbery. If you want to know more about this, I definitely recommend that you check out the Netflix documentary Evil Genius, as it's a very harrowing tale that they're clearly pulling from. Now, just in the same way that Batman is a symbol for the city, Riddler is very much seen in the same vein, and we catch some footage of him which says that he's live streaming. It also seems like he's gained a lot of followers who are of course sick of the corruption in Gotham. Now cutting back to the bat signal, and Bruce very much remarks on it and how it's not just a call, it's also a warning. All criminals should be terrified to be out there, and thus they've resorted to hiding amongst gangs, which we catch in the next shot. Now this is actually the Penguin's gang, which we can tell due to their black and white face paint. They attempt to beat Batman, but he completely outmatches them, and we see a moment from the first trailer in which he was shot.
Okay.
This kind of shows just how bulletproof
I said that in
is.
my trailer reaction.
Later on, we see that it's capable of deflecting machine gun ammo.
Yeah, I love that. That is so badass.
He wears an emblem on the chest because people would aim for that instead of his face. We definitely get that idea in these two shots, as that's exactly what the criminals go for.
Well, they might be aiming because it's dark.
Misses and allows Bruce to use a deafening electronic device that might be based upon sonar technology, which is of course similar to a submarine. Now Batman goes to visit Riddler, and we see that he's causing terror within the city. Matt Reeves said that during the costume test that he put black eye makeup on, and whenever we've seen this in a film before, when Bruce has taken the mask off, there's been nothing underneath it. I'm glad they finally acknowledged it, as it's such a cool bit of character design.
Oh yeah.
And shows sort of just how unhinged that he is. Now, as for the major plot of the film, according to the leaks on it, the movie will pull from books like The Long Halloween, Batman Earth 1, and some of the more grounded Year 2 stories. I actually have a big theory that this story is also going to bring a lot of elements of Dark Victory in as well, and in case you don't know, it's actually the direct sequel to Long Halloween. The Long Halloween involved a killer called Holiday, who murdered members of the Mafia on holidays throughout the year. Dark Victory was somewhat a flip on that, as it had a new serial killer emerging in Gotham who struck policemen and high-ranking.
There's a great Riddler cover too for that comic.
He's attacking people like the mayor, the commissioner, DA, and so on in order to bring an end to the corruption in Gotham. Now beyond this, the cover of Dark Victory is very similar aesthetically to the recently released posters. They all dropped through the week.
Oh,
and
interesting.
Against a striking red background. The image of the Riddler also feels somewhat
love
similar
that
to the
image
covers that are in the book, and it all ties together pretty neatly.
That's the Riddler from The Long Halloween.
Now, in addition to this, Matt Reeves put out a tweet yesterday when promoting the posters that said, "What's black and blue and dead all over?" This could be Nightwing, however, it could also be a reference to the police force being taken out by the Riddler. In the trailer, the Riddler does say that he means Batman, but I think this might be cropped from another moment in the movie, or it could just be him referring to how Batman is the law. I actually think that he's going to be saying this to Savage during one of his many murders, and Savage is actually the commissioner in this movie. Obviously, let me know your thoughts below, but that just makes a lot of sense to me. Now in the book, it's revealed that it's actually Falcone's daughter Sophia who is behind the killing. This somewhat juxtaposes the reveal in Long Halloween, in which is his son Alberto who's carrying out the crimes. In the movie, we know that Selena will be his daughter, and though I don't think she's the serial killer, it all kind of ties everything together. The Long Halloween also has a side tangent called When in Rome, which features Catwoman looking for her father, and it turns out to be Falcone, so yeah, it's all connected. Now, sorry, it's really late. Now, according to leaks, and well, just the way the trailer looks in general, Bruce will actually be in his Batman persona most of the time, and he won't actually care about appearing normal. This is his mission, and he'll stop at nothing to make sure that it's carried out. This also calls back to the comics, as it was in both Earth 1 and Zero Year that he didn't really put focus on his Bruce Wayne persona.
I did hear from, one of the screenings that Heavy Spoilers is alluding to, that most of Robert Pattinson's dialogue is actually through, like, narration, so I don't know if we're going to see him actually talk that much, so I believe that.
However, come the close of the books, Alfred convinced him that it would be useful, as it would allow him to infiltrate the upper elite circles of Gotham, and that seems to make a lot of sense from what we see here. Now at this point we catch Batman looking over the Gotham skyline just as the sun is setting. It's rare that we see Batman actually out in the day. I feel this moment is the character watching the sun go down, which will allow him to be able to hunt in the shadows.
Looks like an ending shot too.
There's a vampiric feel to it, and the gothic structure of the city definitely lends itself to that notion. I love the way that the golden sun illuminates the buildings, and it feels very much like his hunting grounds. Now Reeves has said that he's taken elements of the Glasgow skyline and then used CGI to bring it closer to what he envisions Gotham as. Glasgow is a lovely city filled with lots of architecture that gives it an atmosphere, and I think this design is all spot on. We also got an early look at Selena Kyle, and rather than going the sort of street hustler route with her that was prevalent in Year 1,
she was featured throughout the trailer.
Aesthetic to make a sleek, stunning thief that will steal your heart and mine. Just don't tell the wife.
Hey, no one tell my wife too, okay? Because she was looking bad in the last trailer. Just wanted to say that. So shout out to Zoe Kravitz.
Now I love seeing these moments in action now, and it just adds so much to the aesthetic. Now, Catwoman has two looks in the trailer, namely her short hair one and also one where she wears wigs. This very much speaks to how she has two sides to her personality, which is of course a comment on her character. We see somewhat of the relationship between Selina and Bruce, as there's a lot of passion but also a lot of fighting. It's clear they've really worked on the chemistry between the pair, and I just buy them as a couple and really want to ship them. Is that what kids say? I don't know, I'm 33. Now, we also get a look at Penguin, in which he stares over the city, and at that moment, it currently belongs to him and his criminal empire. We catch Andy Serkis as Alfred, and it's a much gruffer version than what we've ever seen before. This seems like it's pulling from Earth 1 due to the costume design, and he actually helped to train Bruce after accepting that he was fully committed to his mission. He also had a prosthetic leg, so it'll be interesting to see if that's brought across, as it kinda hints to the character's past and what he went through on his many combat missions.
Did anybody see that Alfred series? I forgot what streaming service it was on, but I think it showed Alfred a lot younger during like these missions. I don't remember if I heard anything good or bad about it, but I'm just curious. If anybody has seen it, comment down below if you like that show.
Now, in the trailer, he has a scar on his eye. I'm guessing that this is just a very subtle nod to his past. He says that if this continues, it won't be long until Bruce has nothing left, and this is very much the stance
Bruce with
that he
the
took in
frickin'
the
shades.
comics. Alfred is of course somewhat of a father to Bruce, and he cares about him a lot, so it makes sense why he wouldn't want him doing this. Now we cut to a skyward shot of Bruce mapping out the clues that have been left by the Riddler, and this includes the sins of my father, no more lies, Coulson, Savage, Mitchell, and renewal is a lie. Coulson is the film's DA, and as we've said, Savage is its commissioner, so I'm guessing that these are victims of the Riddler. Gordon is a lieutenant in this film, and the commissioner being killed will leave room for him to take his place.
Commissioner
The
Gordon.
other clues, especially the father one, relates to Bruce, and I believe that the renewal is a lie comment is talking about the industrial side of Gotham going through renovation. Potentially, this is simply to line the pockets of the elite, and thus the Riddler is trying to destroy the corruption that the Waynes may have been a part of. Cut to what I believe is the Iceberg Lounge, aka the Penguins Club. Here he comes face to face with the villain, who doesn't seem that shook by him. It's completely brutal, and we have heard that there are fights at the Iceberg Lounge, so this moment lines up a lot with the leaks. Batman uses pipes and anything at his disposal to go toe-to-toe with people, and it's such a brutal moment. Now we catch another one of Catwoman's wigs, and she goes in disguise before remarking on Bruce's mask. This shows the similarities between the two, and she says maybe they're not so different, which is a line normally uttered by villains, cementing the complexity of her character.
We're not so different,
Batman
you and
not
I.
even needing to move faster than a speeding bullet, and more of the Batmobile chase from the first trailer. Now we know that Catwoman is going to be riding on a motorbike, and the Penguin will probably be chasing after her, which Batman will also be pursuing. I'm kind of guessing that she sneaks into his club, steals something, and then he goes after her, which makes Batman follow right behind them.
That makes sense.
We also catch a very muddy and beaten up looking
Great
Batman,
shot.
and I believe this happens either at the end of the film or immediately after the explosion at the mayor's funeral.
Oh, I could see that being
This
the
would
ending as
explain
well.
the damage on his batsuit, and also why he looks like he's had better days than us sitting for 3 hours and then hearing Linda Carter talking about a song she wrote. Go on, Linda, give us a song, yeah? Do a rap. Go on, do a rap. Now finally, we close out with a car chase, which I think will follow on immediately from the club scene. We know that Penguin is being played by Colin Farrell, and he said that he has a rather short part in the movie, so I'm guessing that this will last about one scene. I'd love to see him pop up throughout the films like Scarecrow did in the Dark Knight trilogy. I think that would be the best way to use the character. He thinks he's got Batman, but like a phoenix from the flames, he comes crashing through in what looks like imagery ripped right out of Arkham Knight.
So I wasn't aware that Colin Farrell said that he has a short part in the film. The way they spread out his clips throughout the trailers, I kind of assumed that he would be in most of the movie. But after heavy spoilers explain that, I can honestly see just one sequence just being clipped up for, you know, the trailer. So interesting.
Batman struts towards the overturned car, looking like death himself, and thus it ends this absolutely incredible trailer.
Yeah, so, you know, there was a lot of things that we already had an idea of, you know, the long Halloween. This is early in Batman's career, because obviously Robert Pattinson looks young as hell, right, compared to Christian Bale. The one thing that I really took away from this breakdown video was the whole Colin Farrell. I did not know that his role was going to be short. But it makes sense because now that I'm thinking of all the scenes that I've seen of Colin Farrell, it looks just like one long sequence. And of course, your boy, the Riddler, I'm hoping he's not in jail throughout the whole movie. I want to see that costume terrorizing people throughout the whole movie. And it's interesting that in both trailers, we don't see Paul Dano's face. So yeah, did you guys learn anything new from this video? Let me hear your theories. I want to hear the community's theories for the Batman. I want to know what you think's going to happen. Don't forget, subscribe to the channel, comment down below, like this video, and as always, I'll catch you next time.